All right, welcome back to the Purple Menace podcast. I'm Geoff Craig, here with Billy Wessels.
Hey, I'm here too. They brought us back for a second week. I'm a little surprised. I know it's kind of my call, but I'm still surprised I brought us back for a second week of this.
Yeah, but we got to have fun, and this is a good way to get everybody 24 days away. 24 days away from
kickoff.
Beginning of the season, TCU football at Minnesota. It's a night game. It's an ESPN game.
Yeah, it's the first game of the year. It's in like the Thursday night first game.
It's the first
game of the year. Everyone wants to see it. It'll be all eyes on the Frogs for that first night.
All eyes on the Frogs. All eyes on the Heisman front runner, Trevone Boykin. I'm calling him the front runner.
Yeah, forget they're going to split the vote Ohio State in this election season. You can't be splitting votes amongst all your candidates.
And
so
Ohio State's
going to have
got
that issue.
3 probably.
Yes, they're going to be splitting all the North Central America votes. So you've got all of the South except for Waco. Basically, is going to be voting for Boykin, and then probably some Southeast, then probably some Southwest, but North Central they can have them. They can have their pick of. They can draw all the names out of the hats they want,
and it's really not going to matter because I'm expecting big things from Boykin. He had a great year last year. It's one of the things we are going to talk about today. We're going to talk about some position battles. We're going to talk about the cornerbacks. We're going to talk about the safeties, and we're going to talk about the backup quarterback because obviously we know Boykin's the guy.
Yeah,
but who's going to be the just in case?
Who's going to be the holder on all the extra points? Basically,
who's going to be the holder? Who's going to be the guy that gets probably 5 pass attempts every game at the end in garbage time? We're going to talk about that.
Who gets to hand the ball to Javoris Johnson as he runs over everybody? Who gets to have that job?
Who gets to throw passes to the walk-ons?
There you go.
And the scout team guys. So we're going to go over that. We're going to talk about recruiting. Obviously, with us being a Rivals site, we're going to talk about a couple of names I wanted to ask you a little bit about, a couple of wide receivers, an athlete, and then we had a new commit this week. Yep. So we're going to talk about him. We'll give you guys a little tease. We can't give you too much because you do need to go to the site.
Check it out.
Subscribe. It's tcu.rivals.com. It's purplemenace.com. It's a great site if you love TCU football. I mean, there's so much on this site, and it's everything in football right now, obviously, but we're going to cover some basketball and things of that nature later on in the year. But for the next 20 weeks, we're going to be hearing...
It's a lot of football.
A lot of football and a lot of new names. It's recruiting season is year-round. And
it doesn't stop.
If TCU keeps things going the way that they've been doing the last, 14, 15 games, it's going to be good times on the recruiting trails for the Frogs. So we're going to talk a little recruiting. And then, of course... We're going to talk about Trevone Boykin. He had a monster year last year. He broke so many school records. So he's the Heisman frontrunner. You know, he's on the cover of ESPN magazine. He's on the cover of Sports Illustrated. He's on Sports Illustrated for kids, dressed up as a construction worker. I mean, he's everywhere right now. He's got
ruggedly
all the hype.
Handsome.
He's a good-looking guy.
He's got a lot of Twitter followers, Instagram followers, I'm sure.
So we're going to talk about him, and we're going to see... I'm going to ask you some questions because he had some gaudy numbers last year, and he broke basically all the TCU records. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to ask you, can he actually be better this year? So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Cliffhanger, I'm not going to answer it yet.
Yeah, we're going to hold that off till the end of the show, so you have to listen all the way through. But you're listening to the Purple Menace podcast. Geoff Craig and Billy Wessels.
Have you heard the buzz about West Nile virus? Protect yourself and your family from the mosquito bites that spread the virus. When you go outside, use mosquito repellent-containing DEET. When possible, wear long-sleeve shirts and pants. And remove standing water around your home where mosquitoes breed. Anyone can become infected, but if you're over 50, you're at higher risk for severe disease or even death from West Nile virus. Remember, the best defense comes from things you can do yourself. Fight the bite. Tell mosquitoes to buzz off.
All right, welcome back to the Purple Menace podcast. Geoff Craig, Billy Wessels here, talking TCU football. Let's jump into it. Position battles. TCU, last week we talked about TCU lost a lot on the defensive side. So one of the battles that's intrigued me, obviously, Ranthony Tejada's got, I believe it's the left corner locked down. Or is it the right corner?
It's the correct corner. It's the first corner. It's usually the quarterback's right, defense is left, I believe.
Okay, so left corner.
Depends on which way you're looking at it.
He's got that section that side of the field locked down. But on the right side, we're not really sure who it's going to be, and fall camp just started. So it looks like Torrance Mosley after spring was the front runner. But Corey O'Mealy was a JUCO transfer last year. Played a lot in that Baylor game.
Yeah, and he actually had a pretty good couple plays in the Baylor game. It's hard to say anyone on the secondary looked particularly great in that game. They gave up 1 billion points. But I kind of thought that was going to be a coming out party because midway through the third quarter, he had made some big plays, a couple big swats, and looked like he was going to be I was trying to draw comparisons to a certain other JUCO cornerback transfer that wore number 2 and made a debut at Baylor. He was reminding me a lot of Jason Verrett, and then he got burned like 3 times in a row, and then he kind of didn't play a whole lot after that either. But so I mean, he's a kind of I don't want to say incumbent, but I'm making a lot of political references. What's happening today? Watching too much Daily Show now that it's gone. But no, I think it's just going to be an interesting battle between those two guys.
So who do you think? I mean, they both do things differently, and that's kind of the situations. It could even be a situation to where Mosley maybe starts at the beginning of the year, and then O'Mealy comes on, or a Deshaun Raymond, or somebody else. Sid Calvin, one of those guys.
It'd be awesome to see Calvin play opposite of Tejada since they were high school teammates. Yeah, since they basically shut down for Frisco Centennial. But I think that'd be fun to see. I really do think we'll just go with whoever the hot hand is, and GB's not afraid to burn a red shirt if he's got to. He'll play Deshaun Raymond. Not a big deal there. So I think you see any one of those guys, no matter who starts the first game, might not start the last game or even the second game. So I think while the battle wants to be won early on by one of these guys, I think it's really going to matter because Baylor saw like 7 different cornerbacks play that game. You'll see them all play at some point.
It's true. So keep your eyes out for Torrance Mosley, Corey O'Mealy, and as soon as we find out something for sure, we're going to break the news. Of course,
that's how we do.
Of course. But I think this one's going to go down to the wire. GP, I don't know if he wants. He might like having O'Mealy on one side because he's a senior and he's been through some things playing JUCO ball, then coming here. Mosley though was a true freshman last year and played a significant amount, so he's probably got the bigger upside. We'll see where we go from there.
I mean, if I were to pick one guy to lean with, I'd probably lean on Mosley as the guy favored to get that start opening day. But like I said, you never know, and they're all going to play. So,
all right, let's look at weak safety. Kenny Iloka, Ridwan Isahaku.
I'm not going to call either one of them weak. That's just
2 awesome names.
No lie. We're going to win the all-name defense for sure. Iloka, another JUCO transfer, was the number 1 JUCO safety in the country when it came to TCU out of Tyler JUCO.
His brother's pretty good at or his cousin. Brother? Brother, George.
Yes.
Was a pretty good safety at Boise.
Yeah, he was. We don't talk about Boise much around here, though. But no, I think, I mean, Kenny Iloka is probably the favorite to step up and do big things, but he didn't get a whole lot of reps last year either. And they love Ridwan Isahaku. He was I think a corner coming out, a really underknown guy, but I know GP likes him a lot. GP loved him when he committed. He's a guy who's been touting for the last couple of years. It'd be good to see him kind of step up into the fold.
So you think Iloka's probably got the edge because of playing last year, special teams, and being, again, it's that veteran guy versus the youngster. Ridwan redshirted last year, scout team, but he's probably got better ball skills like Hackett had.
Yeah, I think that's probably an exact perfect comparison, but I think Iloka will get probably the first reps. I think they want Iloka to win the job because being a veteran, not a whole lot of veterans on this defense. You want a guy that has been through the battles before, even if it's a different level. A guy that's got plenty more game experience out there. But we'll see if that actually plays out. But I do think Iloka probably has the edge right now.
Now over on the other side, the strong side, Denzel Johnson and Trevone Howard.
I love Denzel Johnson. I love watching him play. He's just an absolute wrecking ball out there. But I think they love Trevone Howard so much. I think he's just such a freak athlete, and I've heard GP mention his name a lot the last couple of weeks. So I think he's probably got the edge right now. He just makes plays after play after play in practice, and GP loves his practice bulldog. So I expect him to be kind of a front runner right now.
So you're going Howard over Johnson.
I mean, my head says Howard, my heart says Johnson. And neither of them says the hotel brand Howard Johnson. But I think
the old Hojo.
The old Hojo. No, I like Howard to start right now. As much as I love Johnson, I love watching that guy play, and he's just built like an absolute monster. But I think Howard has probably got the edge at the moment. But again, who knows? They could all give up all the touchdowns tomorrow in practice, and they're both cut. So they could drop from probably not cut, but I mean, GP says they're all the best players in one day and they're all the worst players the next day. So who knows?
Now, you mentioned the Hojo thing. Is there any chance that one of them switches over to weak side and we have Johnson and Howard as the two guys?
I mean, or Howard and Johnson, depends on how you look at it. And then we get sponsored by the hotel chain, as we previously mentioned. No, I mean, it's possible. Shoot, anything's possible. And it's such a, I think it's a little early in camp to be like, oh, this guy's won the job and this guy's won the job, especially in college when they're all going to play. They're all going to play in some way, shape, or form this year. I think they're going to go at it hard the next couple weeks. See who gets to play against Minnesota. I don't think Minnesota's necessarily going to challenge the secondary for TCU a whole lot, so we won't learn much in that game. And it might be the SMU game where they're going to throw the ball a lot, even though they're not going to know where the ball's going. Whereas they're going to throw the ball a lot more. We might know more about the secondary by then.
All right, so that's the three big secondary battles. Now, the probably the least cared about at this point.
Interesting, yeah.
The backup quarterback job. Last year, everybody was, we had Jokel versus Boykin for the starting job, and then everybody just assumed automatically it was going to be Foster Sawyer was going to be the 3 guy. Mm-hmm. And then Bram Kohlhausen, who most of us didn't even know who he was, he went to Houston, and then he transferred, played junior college, shows up at TCU, beats out the 2 freshmen, Muhlstein and Sawyer. So who's going to be the guy this year? I mean, obviously, I'm hoping it's Foster Sawyer. So much height. Biggest, the strongest kid out of all the quarterbacks on the roster. I mean, maybe he's not physically stronger than Boykin, but he's a good 6'5", 225. He can sling it. So who's the guy, that's going to come out here and take this job? Kohlhausen ran the offense at Houston, so he knew the playbook better. Did Sawyer catch up?
I don't know. Simple answer. I don't know. But again, I think we're probably looking at. Bram's probably the backup since he's run this offense before several years in several different forms, and he got to learn a lot more being the backup last year and was one step away from being out on the field. Again, right now he's one step away from being out on the field as a starter for the number 2 team in the country, which is a little scary if you think about just how quickly it all can change. But no, I think he's just got the experience that'll help play a big role in this. But I do want to see Sawyer play. I know it's gonna be crazy next year when we're talking about another horse race between when you get Kenny, don't call me Trill Hill in here playing quarterback, because we got to see him the other day for practice, for his first really practice for the Frogs. So I think it's just gonna be a whole. I think this quarterback setup for the next several years is good. It's good to have all this competition. We have no idea what's going to happen other than Boykin's got one more year. We're going to enjoy this as much as we can. Hopefully, get another Heisman out of this, and maybe hopefully a national title, obviously, and then roll with it after that.
All right, that's going to do it for these position battles. You've given me zero hope on the backup quarterback situation, Billy. If Boykin goes down, the season is over. We're going 4-8. No, that's not going to happen. I'm being very dramatic there. But
if he does go down, it's really scary.
It's scary, but I think we'll still be okay. The offense will change a little. But when you've got guys like Listenby and Doxson on the outsides and Aaron Green in the backfield, things can change.
I mean, I don't think they'll go 4-8, but I do think 8-4 is definitely a lot more probable, or 7-5, which right now would be a huge disappointment when you start the year number 2. But again, it's understandable when you lose the Heisman candidate, Heisman frontrunner.
All right, now you're just making me sad.
It's all hypothetical. Hypothetical. It's all hypothetical.
Hypotheticals. We're not saying anything's going to happen. But if it does, it's Billy's fault.
Fair enough.
All right, when we come back, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little recruiting. Some big-name wide receivers have already said that they're coming here.
Yep.
I say that because...
Who knows?
Nothing matters until they sign on the dotted line. But big names are coming to the Frogs. You're listening to the Purple Menace podcast.
Hi, but not too high. This is George Carlin. I'm sitting here. I have on a yellow hat, a pink shirt, dark sunglasses, and an earring in my ear. And I'm going to tell you not to get into heavy drugs. Well, it sounds bizarre, I know, but there are other things to do with your life, other things to help you make it. Heavy drugs make it all worse, and they help you die.
All right, we're back. PurpleMenace.com podcast. You're listening to Jeff Craig and Billy Wessels. Now it's time to talk a little bit recruiting. I've got some names. Is that your sound effect?
I guess. I don't know. Breaking
I don't know
news.
what that
it's not really
was.
breaking news, but it's just you got to put something in there to let the world know that we're changing subjects. We're switching gears a little bit. I guess your words kind of did that, but I decided to add a little bit of, I'm guessing, a distant sound for that.
It was that weird, like, 1960s.
Breaking news. Pull it right off the presses when you just rip the paper off of the printer. Read this on air, live. Black out all the words you don't need to say on the radio.
Most of the people that are listening to this have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm too young to know about that,
They're listening to a podcast.
I listen to podcasts. I do podcasts. I like podcasts.
Yeah, me too.
Yep.
I like recruiting, too.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, so we've talked about position battles, and we've talked about kind of we ended the last segment talking about the quarterback situation and how it seems to be it's set up now where you've got a couple guys every year or every couple years, you've got a couple new guys coming in, and things look good. Definitely the strength on this team right now is their depth at wide receiver. It's going to get even deeper, we're hoping, going into next year. I got a couple of wide receivers I wanted to ask you about that have committed verbally to TCU. And the first one is the wide receiver, the JUCO, Taj Williams.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at his little profile on Rivals.com right now. 4 stars, ranked the number 3 overall JUCO player in the country by Rivals this year.
Overall player,
yeah, and the JUCO 100 ranks number 3 overall, behind I think like 2 offensive linemen or something like that. But yeah, no, he's an absolute stud. Originally out of Tallahassee, Florida, went to Council Bluffs, Iowa, for some reason, Iowa Western Community College, and now he's coming to Fort Worth. Just kind of a weird road for this guy, but he's going to find a home at TCU, and he's going to come in and hopefully provide immediate impact. It's going to be, just an absolute baller. He's got impressive tape, 6'4", 190, 4.45 speed, just absolute. Could be like the next Calvin Johnson, Megatron type guy.
And you're talking about next year him coming in here as a junior and putting him on the opposite side of another junior who we raved about last week, who's 6'4" and 200 pounds.
Yeah.
Emmanuel Porter.
Yeah, I was talking about Emmanuel Porter. I was wondering. I was pretty sure you could say Emmanuel Porter, but yeah, you're looking at Taj Williams outside, Emmanuel Porter on the other side, and possibly Kenny Hill throwing the ball to him with Travorce Johnson in the backfield.
Kyle Hicks.
Kyle Hicks.
/
Sean Nixon. That's again, if you can find an offensive line, that's a pretty mean little offense again, lining up next year. It's going to be fun to watch.
It is going to be
real fun to watch.
Okay, so another wide receiver, because you can never have too many awesome wide receivers. Courtney Lark.
Yeah. Another 4-star guy, Houston Bel Air, 6'1", 163, listed right now. Another guy that can just go up and get it. He's got great hands, solid speed, big old paws too, big hands. A guy that committed pretty early on too, or late in January. Remember, I was helping a buddy move apartments, and like, oh hey, Courtney Lark just committed. Oh cool. So I got to get all over this, and just you don't see. I mean, now you're seeing it more and more now for TCU, but this is kind of like the first of the really big 4-star guys in the future that are seeing this offense and really want to be a part of it, and be a part of what the Frogs putting together for the future years to come. So this guy is kind of he could be, I don't know if the flag holder is the right word, because this current team's kind of doing that, but this could be the first of like the wave of future 4- and 5-star guys that start coming to Fort Worth on a regular basis. And so we can kind of look back to that moment in late January as being when Courtney came over. That could be the guy that kind of set the tone for TCU as far as recruiting goes.
I'm excited.
You should, again, putting him on that offense next year. So if he comes out and plays right away, you never know with these guys, but he's the kind of guy that could provide an immediate impact.
All right, this is going to be a fun one. He's an athlete. Siwo Olenalua.
Close enough. I've got it wrong literally.
Olenalua.
I've been on numerous shows across the country, and I've gotten it wrong probably every single time. Nope, that's way wrong. Olonilua. I don't know, man. Whatever. Siwo tackle all the peoples. Looking at playing linebacker or safety for TCU.
Okay.
Just an absolute stud, 4-star guy. Kind of an under the radar guy when he came into TCU, like a lot of TCU guys are. I think he was sitting in a 2 or 3-star, went to TCU, and then went to all the Rivals camps down in the Houston area and just blew everybody's minds. I remember hearing from Rivals people like, dude, you've got a stud coming to TCU in a couple of years. You got a guy that can absolutely blow people up. played running back for Kingswood last year. Like, weren't sure what they're going to do with him. I think this year he's going to move mostly to play linebacker or safety. And then at TCU, he's looking to probably play one of those two positions as well. Probably leaning towards safety. So that's a really, really good thing you've got coming there, especially when you have so many younger linebackers as the safeties start to graduate and as you got guys like Kenny Aloka getting older. CU can just plug right in there sooner.
You said 6'2", 215?
I didn't say that, but yes, 6'2", 215, just an absolute beast.
So that's that big bulky safety that, Sam Carter was that. That's about Sam Carter's size. About 6. Sam, I think, was 6'1", giving him an inch, but he was about 220.
Yeah. And I think Steve was a little bit faster and hits a little bit harder.
So that's...
He's like Sam Carter, but better, which is, that's sign up for that right now. If he said, hey, he's going to be Sam Carter, but a little bit better. Yeah.
Yeah,
done.
okay.
Oh, you'll be a 4-year start or a 4-year contributor for a program that's going to be one of the best defenses in the country. Yeah, we'll take that.
And then the newest one, the most recent, I should say, verbal commitment, another safety, Vernon Scott.
Yeah, just down the road in Mansfield. Pretty short trip for that guy. Getting a lot of guys in the Houston area. But Vernon's just a speedy guy, 6'2", 200, sub 4.40. Just a whole lot of wheels. GP loves getting those speedy guys playing the secondary because if you've got speed and you've got brains, you can play in GP's defense. And that's kind of what they're getting out of Vernon Scott. Guy, not a whole lot of other attention, only listed as a 2-star right now. But, what his other offers? Air Force, SFA, Texas State, New Mexico. It's one of those guys that TCU just kind of sneaks up on, takes, and then this guy that we see a lot of about 5, 6, 7 years ago that no one else really paid attention to, and then turns into a stud. So this is the kind of guy that I could see being playing a potential big role in the secondary, but could also be a huge return guy. That could be his game in the future. So we'll see how that goes.
Maybe like a Brian Bonner type.
Yeah, kind of like that. So I could see
safety that can return punts, which you never hear of. Safeties that return.
Yeah. So you get a big physical guy that could do that. So I think that's kind of what we're looking for in Scott. But wheels for days.
Great. So there you go. A little recruiting talk. 2 wide receivers, 2 safeties. The future is bright for the Frogs in the secondary. And when you play in the Big 12 now, like everybody's running spread offenses.
Yeah, you need all the
5 or 6 deep at corner and at safety because you kind of float and you got to rotate guys. And when you're out there running basically a 40-yard dash every play,
yeah,
you got to get the rotation going. So again, things look good. Next week we'll talk about a couple other recruits, but coming up next we're going to talk about the guy that's got all the campaigns going for him, Trevone Boykin.
Donald Trump? Oh.
No.
Donald
this
Trevone.
guy, people actually like this guy.
Oh, you're right. Touche.
Some people like Donald Trump.
Yep. And some people are wrong.
I go to school with your children. We say the Pledge of Allegiance together. I'm one out of every 4 children in America, and I'm struggling with hunger. I'm lucky to grow up where I could be whatever I want. I want to grow up and be someone who doesn't go to bed hungry. Please visit feedingamerica.org today and find your local food bank. Every dollar you donate helps provide 7 meals for kids like me. Together, we're Feeding America. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Purple Menace podcast. Geoff Craig here with my buddy Billy Wessels. We've been talking TCU football. We talked about some position battles earlier. We talked a little recruiting. Now we're going to talk about the man, the myth, the legend, Trevone Boykin. Now last year, he won the job. We all didn't find out until the first game. Just like the year before, we weren't sure if it was going to be Paul Hall or Boykin, and then they both came out there, and we were like, oh. This year, nobody really knew on the outside, but on the inside, everybody knew. Boykin basically had that job the entire fall camp. He comes out, and it's a new offense, and we all don't really know what to expect. And they're playing Samford, and I remember we were all really excited sitting in the press box. And the first drive, they go straight down the field, score a touchdown, and we were like, "Yes, like that's great." We scored a touchdown, but then we were all like, "But it's Samford. Let's not get too excited." And then they came right down the field again and scored another touchdown. And then repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. Mm-hmm. They did that like the first 5 drives. We all started to get excited. That happened all year long. I think it was the first 8 games of the season they scored on the first drive.
And was it the first 6? I think they led 14-0.
Yeah.
Something like that. They led 14-0 after 2 touchdowns, like after the first 2 drives. Yeah, it's a pretty good way to start. I think everything but West Virginia. I think until that game they did that. Yeah, and it was. I think I put on I don't know, Facebook or Twitter after that first game was like TCU won and they scored a lot of points. Like it was just kind of weird to see and fun to see. But I just kind of took the world by storm last year, and no one knew what they were doing and how crazy this whole offense is. And then, sure enough, the thing that most excited me the most at the media day press conference a couple weeks ago was, or I guess last week, GB saying this was just year 2 of what they thought was a 3-year process for this offense. So if they did that in year 1, I'm sorry, Big 12. I don't know what's going to happen this year. I don't know what you're getting yourself into, but it's you're bringing back just about everyone on offense. It's going to be tough to stop.
And that you were talking about is the tune of Trevone Boykin, quarterback for the Frogs, 301 completions last year, school record. 3,900 yards, school record. 3,901 to be specific.
Thank you.
3,901, school record. 33 passing touchdowns, school record. And he completed 61% of his passes, which I didn't even realize that was that high. But I guess late in the year, especially in the Peach Bowl, the Ole Miss game, he completed the pass to himself, so that always helps.
He's a beast.
But he was really on fire the last 2 or 3 games of the year.
You know what's funny, and I think I told you this story last week. I don't think I put it on the podcast. Was the last 2 or 3 years before this, I actually helped proofread the media guide before the year, and I didn't do it this year, and I was very thankful because the last couple of years there was no editing of the school records. The school records stayed the same each of the last couple of years, and then this year, the year I don't have to proofread it, everything changed. The most passes in a game done, most touchdowns ever in a game done, all the Boykins done, and I was like, okay, cool. I didn't have to read that this year. That's kind of a good break. Whoever got to read that had to make a lot of changes.
Oh yeah, yeah, they made quite a few. And that leads me into a couple questions I have for you. But one, people were really down on Boykin, and I was one of the ones that was saying he could be better in this offense because there was throws he missed last year. It was the intermediate throw, which is difficult for almost all quarterbacks, especially when you have as strong an arm as Boykin has, because he throws out patterns better than most quarterbacks in college football and better than some NFL quarterbacks. And he throws a beautiful deep ball. But it's that intermediate pass, that 15-yard crossing pattern that gets him. If he could get better at those, that completion percentage jumps up maybe 5% more. I say 5% because the school record is 66%. Casey Paul Hall, 2011. Yeah. Can Boykin complete 66% of his passes in year 2 of this offense in 2015?
I'll say sure. Why not? I think, I'm not, yeah, why not? I think this is going to be an offense where they kind of, obviously you got a great running game with Aaron Green, but a lot of the reason that percentage was so high last year is a lot of the running game was short passes. So that's the right reason why the percentage was so high last year. So if he completes more of those passes, more of those intermediate passes, maybe you see a slight regression on the deep ball because there were a lot of those balls. I just off my head, I'm thinking the Colby Listenby catch at Baylor. That doesn't happen every single. On the first drive, that doesn't happen most of the time. That's just an absurd play. You're not going to get that every single time.
Josh Doxson makes a lot of amazing
Josh Doxson
catches.
makes a lot of amazing catches, and I remember coming into that game, everyone's like, "Oh, Listenby's great, but can he actually catch the ball?" And then he makes that catch on the 3rd play of the ball game, just absolutely insanity. I could maybe see a slight. I mean, you say he does throw a great deep ball, but I can see a lot of those not being caught this year. Maybe defense is a little more wary of that deep ball this year, and it becomes a little bit more of a more difficult pass. But that gives you more over the middle. That gives you more of those intermediate passes where it maybe maybe make him beat you in the 15 range instead of the 45-yard range. We'll see. I mean, we'll see. I think he definitely can. I think that's a Baja record book should be on watch, and I don't think it'd be a bad thing if he went and just broke off Baja's records, got him out of there. Wouldn't be bad as far as a changing in the guard and how that whole thing went down. But I think, I think Boykin's got a shot to break all of his records from last year and then break all the ones that are still standing.
Last year, he had a game that he had 460 yards passing in. That was also the 7-touchdown game. Yeah. Now, the 7 touchdowns is a school record as well. I don't expect him to throw more than 7 touchdowns in a game. Wouldn't shock me if he did it again. But the 460 yards... He never had a 500-yard game, and when you look back at this style offense, especially with somebody like Sonny Cumbie, you think of those Tech years, they had guys throwing for 500 yards a game.
You don't think last game of the year, TCU and Baylor both 11-0. After what happened last year, you don't think TCU's going to want to put up 80 points and let Boykin throw over 9 touchdowns in that game?
That's a good point.
I think that could very well happen if both teams are 11-0 after how the last thing went down with the whole standings being number 3rd and suddenly number 6, and you got a chance to go out there and prove your point, and you can go just straight up annihilate Baylor. Baylor's still a quality program. They're not just going to let that happen, of course.
But if it gets into a
shootout this year, they're gonna just put the throttle down. If it turns, I mean, again, you get to the stage where you come to the fourth quarter, you're up by 21 points. Maybe you run the ball a little more. Then you got to worry, do you want to just beat them? Or do you want to go and just straight throttle them? Maybe if you have the ball and you're up 21-0 with like 10 minutes left, and like where you're kicking the ball to them at their 30, when they get the ball at the 30-yard line to start that whole crazy comeback, maybe you do something a little different. I don't know. But I think if that game becomes a shootout, you could definitely see 9 touchdowns and 700 yards or something insane old Texas Tech numbers in that game.
I'm going to say he throws for 500 against SMU.
Sure.
I'm going to put it earlier in the year.
Why not SFA? They won't do it to SFA.
Yeah,
they won't do it
I
to
think
SFA.
That's a game because Minnesota will run the ball and play pretty good defense, and you won't get a chance. SFA, they'll get other guys in the game.
Yeah, they're not going to try and run up on SFA.
That's the first home game of the year too.
They're not going to try to run it up on SMU either, but it'll just happen naturally. And then, but then at Tech, Cumbie going to Lubbock against Old Cliff.
He wants to show them that it wasn't just a fluke last year.
And he could put up 83 this year just to do it. Yeah, I don't know. I think it could be better. I think there's potential for some more of those huge games, especially the games we're talking about. Especially, I think SMU at home, Tech on the road, and Baylor that last game with you could see some monster numbers in those games.
All right, and then the last question. Last year, and this is mainly just a Heisman numbers thing because sometimes these things just come down to numbers. He ran for 700 yards and 8 touchdowns. Is he going to run for more yards this year? Or do you think he's going to stay in the pocket more this year and really add to these passing numbers? So instead of maybe it's the same, I guess what I'm saying is maybe the same total yardage.
Yeah.
But instead of it being 3,900 in the air and 700 at the ground.
It's like 42 and 5 or something like that.
Yeah.
I think you'll see fewer rushing yards. I think you'll see more rushing touchdowns. Think about that for a second.
I like where you're going.
I think you'll see a lot more in close. I think you'll see a lot of keepers, but I think you'll see a lot less of them wanting to, especially early in the year, don't scramble. Like just throw it away. If you're playing SMU and you're up by 40 points already, don't risk the injury. Don't risk getting hurt.
Don't do the flip like you did against K-State.
That was amazing though. That was so cool. There was this Heisman moment ready right there, and of course he gets snubbed like everything else last year, but yeah, no, I could see
red zone area.
I could see a lot of red zone carries. I could see a lot of, if you're going to have big hits around the goal line. I'll take the over on 8 rushing touchdowns and the under on 600 rushing yards.
Okay, and does he catch a touchdown pass this year?
Of course, from himself. It's going to happen. I called it so many times last year. I called it every time we had a game. And then I was so happy it happened in the Ole Miss game. And then he caught a touchdown in the game that like I said he would. He didn't throw it to himself, but he caught a touchdown pass that week. So
you were close.
I was close. You got to give me some credit for that. But yeah, of course he's going to catch a touchdown this year. It's going to happen. Some weird play where Cameron Eccles Looper pitches it to Deontay Gray, who hands it off to Aaron Green, who then throws it 50 yards on the field. I'm sorry, Cumbie and Mitchell, if I ruined your first play of the season. but maybe try that one out. I don't know.
I mean, you got so many wide receivers that can throw the ball too. Listenby, Looper, Slanina.
Ty Summers could throw a touchdown this year. Who knows? He's
your linebacker in there. Maybe put him in at fullback.
You never know.
You're right. You never know.
In this offense, you don't know what's going to happen.
Desmond White.
Des White. Yep. I love Des White.
He was a parade All-American.
Yep.
As a quarterback. So, okay. So we're saying Boykin's going to catch a touchdown.
Ty Slanina was a quarterback.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. There's so many of them. All right. That's going to wrap up our little Boykin conversation and us getting all giddy over here thinking about this upcoming season. We'll be right back, recap the show, and let you know how you can find out more about the TCU Horned Frogs.
Type 2 diabetes is a serious chronic health threat in America. It affects tens of millions of people. Many people who have the disease don't know it. Diabetes can cause health problems such as heart disease, strokes, amputations, and blindness. Talk to your doctor, get screened if you're at risk, and learn how to avoid becoming one of the millions of new cases of diabetes each year. You can help prevent type 2 diabetes. A message from CDC and HHS.
All right, welcome back, Geoff Craig, Billy Wessels. Billy's still giggling over here.
I'm a giggly guy. I'm very
still
giggly.
giggling over here. He's so excited about this upcoming season. Like we said, 24 days away. We've talked about position battles today. We've talked about recruiting. We've gushed about Trevone Boykin. Bill, you got anything you want to add before we get out of here today?
Yeah, I mean, we spoke a little about recruiting a second ago. Actually, while I was sitting here before we got started, I posted a little note on the website. I exchanged some DMs with Bastrop, Louisiana linebacker Trevez Moore. He got a TCU offer the other day, so he's talking about how much he likes the programs. A little note about that, a little nugget. Going to turn into a little more full story later on. We got some practice reports from this week. GP is going to be available Tuesday and Thursday after practice this week. So we'll see. Hopefully, get some good info out of that and get some updates. And then I do want to say one thing. I did kind of sprung this on you. I don't know if you've been seeing my Twitter, my Facebook lately. No, you don't pay attention to my social media. Fair enough. I don't blame you. But for those that don't know me, I know a lot of you have heard of me at least. I used to be really fat. I used to be 485 pounds.
When I saw the graduation picture of you,
yeah.
Holy yes.
Yeah. So it's been a pretty wild transformation for me the last 4+ years. So anyway, I was 485 in 2011. I'm down to 260 now, as far as weight goes, and I've got about 20 pounds or so of just loose skin. I know it's a big issue. You see, watch Extreme Weight Loss and Biggest Loser and stuff like that. So anyway. Found out last week I went for a consultation to see if I'm a candidate for the removal surgery. I am, but the issue is it costs about $15,000. I don't have that. Maybe if more people enjoy the show and join the site, maybe we can get that a little bit faster. But enough people told me, hey, start a GoFundMe for this little thing I've got going on. You can check that out at gofundme.com/Billy's Skin Removal. Sounds real gross the way I phrase it like that. But people have been supportive. So in the last week, I've already raised $5,000. Of the $15,000 that I need for this surgery, and it's just so amazing to see the wealth of support I've gotten from people that I don't talk to very often, don't talk to often enough. But if you want to go check that out, maybe read a little more of my story, I kind of touched on it right there. But I've been tweeting about it, been all over my Facebook. So find me on Twitter at Billy Wessels. Help me out if you can. At least read my story. Maybe feel compelled to share it. If nothing else, just spread the word, man. And I really appreciate all y'all's help. And go Frogs.
Yes, and so another way to help Billy with this again was subscribe.
Join the website.
Subscribe.
PurpleMenace.com. It's you could donate to me $5, or you can join the website, or donate $10, or join the website for $10.
I would join the website for $10.
Why not? It helps me, and you get all the TC information you could possibly ever dream of.
You get to join Hell's Half Acre.
There you go. That's the name of our
wonderful
chat room, basically.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of craziness going on in there. So go check it out, tcu.rivals.com.
PurpleMenace.com.
Takes you to the
Menace
same
podcast.
exact thing.
It does. We got
YouTube, Purple Menace podcast. Make sure obviously if you found this, but if you tell your friends to listen to the podcast, they have to put Purple Menace podcast, because if you just put Purple Menace in YouTube,
it's like a weird video game, right? It's a weird video game. I don't know what that is.
Game that comes
but
up,
I'm gonna play it.
But it's really weird, and that's not us. So that helps us in no way. So check it out.
That might as well just be the live feed of us recording this, by the way. It's about as entertaining.
No, this is way better.
This is pretty cool.
I've gotten some good feedback from the show.
Good,
I have.
Good.
A lot of people like it. They say we have good chemistry together, which is really weird. Because, this is the second episode that we've sat down and done this, and we just ramble.
But we did 4 episodes of your show when you were at KTCU. It went pretty well. So it's not this is not totally unfamiliar for both of us. And
True.
We both like to talk a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a couple of Vince Scully's over here, it's like to say. Just like to talk a lot. Usually by yourself, but you throw another guy in there every once in a while. It's nice.
This is not actually me in two different voices. That's why we talk at the same time at certain times, to make sure people don't know it's not just me using a voice modulation.
It's me using voice modulation.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this week's show. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back next week, going to talk more TCU football. It's getting ever closer. Next week, I think we'll go ahead. We'll start breaking down Minnesota.
Ooh.
We'll get into it a little bit, because they lost some key contributors last year.
Yeah, they did.
And they're making a few small changes on their offense. So we'll get into that next week. So stay tuned to the Purple Menace podcast. I'm Geoff Craig, at Jeffrey, Geoffrey _CRAIGY, because there's some British doctor got the one without the underscore.
He saves lives. You just talk about football.
I know.
He's got dibs.
Billy?
At Billy Wessels, and again, GoFundMe / Billy Skin Removal. At TCU _Rivals on Twitter as well, and PurpleMenace.com. Go Frogs. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye!